You have failed me for the last time. We would be honored if you would join us.
If Anakin and Padme never fell in love, this would clearly change a lot of things, and the story wouldn't be nearly as dramatic or exciting, which is how you know I like to make my fanfictions. However, it's a tricky question because some might say that Anakin's fall was catalyzed by Padme, that it would have happened regardless, while others think it was merely his love for her that made him turn against the Jedi. Anakin was always impatient, brash, and scatterbrained. We know this. However, I don't believe it was just Padme that set him off. It was actually the death of his mother. Shmi dying set two things off in Anakin. One, he felt like he failed her because he wasn't strong enough to save her, as he even says during her funeral.
I wasn't strong enough to save you, Mom.
And two, the obvious one, losing a parent isn't easy and would make most act out. The idea of losing Padme not only was terrible on its own front, but it triggered the massive nerve within him and inflamed his insecurities tenfold. It was essentially a double shock effect where he felt like a complete loser for not being able to save the two most important people to him. And over time, this pain fed its way into his mind until it gave him this countdown ultimatum for him to either stay in the council chambers until Mace Windu returned, or go and take matters into his own hands. Which we all know which option he chose. If Anakin and Padme never fell in love, then we would just go through the scene of Anakin failing to save Shmi. Padme would still be with him and they might be attracted to one another, but it wouldn't go any further than that. If anything, I would have thought Ahsoka and Anakin had a deeper connection to one another and a better age gap than Padme and Anakin, which seemed like it mostly was built on physical attraction, as we see in The Phantom Menace when Annie asks Padme if she was an angel.
Are you an angel? What? An angel. I heard the deep space pilots talk about them. They're the most beautiful creatures in the universe.
This would skip the entire slow love scenes in Attack of the Clones, and we possibly even would never learn of his hatred for Sand, because that was all just a plan to tell her she's soft and smooth, and then almost hover hand caress her shoulder with his finger. What this would mainly change, I believe, is the Dooku duel in Episode 2. You see, Anakin was so impatient in that scene, much more than usual. He just wanted to get it over with so he could go and save Padme and see if she was alright from her fall from the ship. If he wasn't conflicted with love and emotion and rage,
put the ship down! Anakin! Don't let your personal feelings get in the way!
he would have kept his mind at the task at hand and helped Obi-Wan fight Dooku.
We'll take him together. You're going slowly on the left.
Taking him now! No, Anakin, no! No!
I think, with their combined attacks and Anakin's dark side, which still screamed inside of him from the recent death of his mother, they would have taken Dooku down. And with Obi-Wan there, Anakin wouldn't have killed him. Rather, Yoda would have showed up and the three of them would arrest him, bringing him back to the temple and having the entire council interrogate him on trial. Dooku wanted Obi-Wan to know who Palpatine was. As explained in Episode 3's novelization, Dooku wanted to save Obi-Wan and asked Palpatine to spare him on the Shadow's hand, for he was like a grandson to him, as Qui-Gon was his pupil before Episode 1.
What if I told you that the Republic was now under the control of the Dark Lord of the Sith?
No, that's not possible. The Jedi would be aware of it.
The dark side of the Force has clouded their vision, my friend.
It's also explained how Dooku was with Palpatine because he wanted to become the sole leader of the new Sith army once the Jedi were defeated and Palpatine rose to political power. The Jedi would then pry out of Dooku just who this Dark Lord was and what his authority was on the Council, as Dooku would finally reveal and point to Palpatine during the trial, saying he was the Sith Lord. The entire stadium would gasp, with loud chatter until order would resume amongst the outrage, revealing his plans behind the Separatist army and ordering them to check his midichlorian count and search his office for his spare lightsabers, which he knew were tucked away in the vases. Palpatine would later be arrested and Dooku would be set free on probation for disciplinary sessions with other masters. Dooku would explain to them why he left in the first place and that their dogmatic views would lead them to their failure. This was something Yoda realized at the end of Revenge of the Sith, however now, it was too late. Anakin would continue to serve the Jedi Code and would eventually be promoted to the rank of Master, something he always wanted.
You are on this council. We'd grant you the rank of Master.
However, after this, he would search for Ahsoka and bring her back, and their relationship would have potential to progress in either direction the Force wanted them to go. Padme would go back to her lover, Paulo, and they would have dark curly-haired babies together while she served the Republic and he pursued the arts.
His name was Paulo. Very cute. Dark curly hair, dreamy eyes.
Alright, I get the picture.
Anakin would take Ahsoka back to the temple with his persuasion. They would make the Jedi Order see their flaws, just as Dooku had explained to them, coming to terms with their failures earlier than later, and strengthening their weaknesses and getting rid of their old traditions that created the fear between which sides of the Force to use, instead of just feeling the Force as Qui-Gon had.
Yoda, it is I, Qui-Gon Jinn.
If Luke was as powerful as he was just with half of Anakin's bloodline, imagine what the offspring's potential would be if combined with another powerful Force user, like Ahsoka. It would truly be an overpowered Skywalker. The Empire would never see daylight, as its inception would die with the arrest of Palpatine. We could leave the story here and say the galaxy would live happily ever after, only seeing peace and justice for centuries to come. However, that's a bit boring. So let's take what we know. We know Snoke was in Ben's life since he was a boy, as Leia mentions to Han, so I do believe Snoke's next target, now that Ben would never be born, would be the bloodline of Skywalker, to use and then crush him or her. Once Episode 8 releases, then I can come back and properly finish the story to all my fanfictions ending with Snoke, as I don't want to just make things up and speculate to fill in a story. It needs to be done right. I have a lot of Snoke theories, and I'm sure everyone else does, but I think these kind of videos need to be done to justice. I also know there are a lot of fans of Anakin and Ahsoka theories. What do you think about it? Do you think it would have turned Star Wars into a better timeline, or maybe worse? Let me know what you think below. Thanks for watching this episode, everyone, and thanks for voting on the Facebook page. I really appreciate it. Enjoy your day, and until we meet again tomorrow in the next episode of Star Wars Theory, remember,
The Force will be with you always.